Hi, everyone. Doug Adams here from the RunDNA Podcast, and I appreciate you joining me. We've got a really great topic that I want to dive right into. A lot of you know of my company, RunDNA, here, and have found us through there, through our education courses and our technology and our app. And thank you for being part of the community. Something I talk about as well is my clinical practice, Omega Project Physical Therapy. And I want to talk about that and how we did something when we first started the practice and really took a lot of time in planning. And we were thinking about how we can future proof the practice. How do we stay relevant? How do we continue to grow and build and make sure that we're not seeing those dips? We're not falling out of favor, and it's not just a flash in the pan. And this is something that we started off at the very beginning when we started Omega Project, but it's something that anyone can catch up to and can do things in their practice where if you're worried about the cuts to reimbursement that are happening in 2025, if you're seeing that costs are outweighing the revenue generated for seeing a typical visit or doing a particular service for your business, then this is something that you really have to think about. How are you going to make sure that your business is not just surviving, but really thriving as you're going? I think as a business owner, there's a few things that everyone really wants, and they might put it in different terms. But I think some of the best terms I've heard is from my good friend, Ben Keaton. He talks about freedom of time, money, and purpose. Whereas if you have the ability, if, I'm a physical therapist and many of our listeners are physical therapists, but this works for any practice or service or business that you're doing. I want to be able to see the clients that I want to see. I want to have the freedom of time to see them when it works best for me and my family and my personal things that I like to do as well. And I'd like to be rewarded for the value of service that I provide. So when those three come together, freedom of time, money, and purpose, I think that that's a whole new level of ownership of a business, or even working in a business. It's not that you have to be a business owner for this to be relevant. You can have freedom, time, money, and purpose as an employee within a business. And I think that if you're pursuing those options and if you find that cultural fit, it's just a whole nother level of enjoyment from what you do. And so many people in the medical and fitness industry get into this because they really love what they do. We have such a huge advantage that I don't dread going to work. I am excited to go to work. It's not the same thing. I'm making a difference. And not only do I know I'm making a difference, I can see that difference every day with the clients that I'm working with. So if you're looking for freedom of time, money, and purpose, I'm about to show you the formula that we've used at Omega Project. And the formula that has really shown the ability to go from opening the practice in 2018 and my wife and I talking about doing peanut butter and jelly for the first 3 years and working hard and hoping to just scrap along and get by, to really where it's expanded. We've brought on additional locations, we've brought on additional providers, and we continue to grow and even offer more value to our customers, which has turned into more success. So let's go into what that formula really looks like. And before I get to the formula, I think it's important to note that clients want 110% of what they're typically looking for. When somebody comes in, unfortunately, when a typical client comes into any business, medical, fitness, or anything else, there is a bit of distrust, and you have to win them over quickly. And you have to be able to show them that you can really provide a value that is worth their time, because there are so many alternatives out there now. They can look something up on artificial intelligence. They can Google it. They can ask a buddy about what they did for their back pain or to get in shape or to do their marathon training plan. And I think it's really important that you are in line with providing that 110%. A lot of that does come with embracing technology. And I'm biased with this, running a tech company. I think that technology is a great way to do this. But no matter what you're doing, I think you have to see how are we going to far exceed a customer's expectations to make sure that they're getting a really great result and that they trust you for everything that they're looking for. So if you're listening to this podcast, I do suggest that you check out the YouTube channel as well, because there are some slides for this and some things that you can follow along, and just some visuals to make it more helpful here. So the formula now for success of how to future-proof your practice. I think there's three main elements, and this isn't all encompassing. I think there's other aspects that need to be controlled for a business. But if you're just getting started and really want to make sure that you're giving the best effort, I think there's three things that you should really focus on. Clinical excellence, or if it's a other service or product that you provide, you want to make sure that that product or service is excellent. Value beyond care. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means, but same thing, if you offer a different product or service, really there is more than meets the eye. When you get something, you didn't even know how good it was. You bought it for a reason or two, or you went to participate in a service and you realize, wow, this is not just helping me rehab my knee. Like, I feel better about myself. I feel like a better person when I come out of physical therapy, or I didn't know that my hip was contributing to this and they're solving issues I didn't even know I had yet. That's that value beyond care. And then the third aspect, which is really important, and I think a lot of people miss this aspect because they get into having their own business because they really like treating a certain way or providing a certain service or a certain product, but they don't focus as much on the business process. And it's very important to have solid business processes that allow you to deliver on that excellence of service and that value beyond the service or product that you're offering. And if you're listening, I'll just say there's a kind of a pseudo Venn diagram with this, where the freedom that we were talking about, with the freedom of time, money, and purpose, really comes when you are delivering on all aspects of this and you're balancing that valuable service, even going above and beyond it, and having business processes to make sure that it's clear and consistent for your customers. So clinical excellence, as we're talking specifically to the physical therapy market and the athletic trainers and chiropractors, podiatrists, I think it's really important that you do have a very consistent system. This is why we have built our certified running gait analyst courses, our certified walking gait analyst courses. That's a really important part. And having systems in place helps you to become a better provider. I think that that's really important, and something that's not as popular of a thought or isn't taught in schools, and something that you have to learn as you come out of school and actually start applying your trade and your practice. I think it's important that you have systems. And the reason that systems are important is because that is how you learn. I give the example a lot of times. Let's say that you're treating a runner and they come in and they're coming in for knee pain. And you do a knee evaluation and you just are kind of going by the seat of your pants and kind of say, all right, let's figure out what I need to look at for a knee. Well, if you're not using a systematic approach, then you might miss in that person that maybe they have some ankle limitations that are contributing to their knee issue. And you're never going to learn why what you did helped or didn't help if you didn't have a way to look at the whole person. And if you know that your systems are in place and your systems are solid, then you know that you can learn from each interaction, from each time you provide your service or sell your product. You're able to really learn and understand, okay, why did that go well? Because you know that you're consistent with it. And if you want to be excellent, if you want to be in the top tier of your profession, I think that you really need to have systems in place to make sure that you are growing in each step of the way. And that's a big part of why we developed the runner readiness assessment, the gait capacity screen, the loading levels, the 5 categories of running, the 7 categories of walking. Those things ensure that you have a clear, concise method that is easy to apply, but is also allowing you to learn each step of the way. And that's non-negotiable. When somebody comes in to see you, when somebody buys your product, it has to be excellent. You have to look at that product and make sure that it is really matched up well to the market that you're going after, and that they are going to be very happy and satisfied with it. But you can't stop there either. This is where we go to the second part, with the value beyond care. And I gave a couple examples of some things that we do at a mega project earlier, where we're saying, somebody's coming in and they're learning that, wow, I didn't know my hip was the source of this, and I'm preventing some hip pain in the future. And I'm looking at that too. But we have to even go beyond that. We have to wow them with what we are providing with our services here. So, I'm totally biased on this, will 100% admit to it, but 3D technology has been a huge part of my Omega Project physical therapy clinic, because we started saying, hey, you know what? Anyone can bust out a phone a lot of times and just even evaluate themselves and look at it and say, I think I see this, or I think I see that, or they can look at it and kind of look for a couple quick tips online. But they're looking for that person that is going to have the ability to get to the root cause. They're going to look at that person that can say, yep, this is what's causing this. This is why your right side is injured. That's why you need data. And when results matter for your clients, customers there, it's really important that you're getting the best data to apply that. And that's where some technology, right? This could be other technologies as well. If you're using diagnostics, ultrasound, you're using techotherapy, you're using laser therapy, whatever you're using in your practice that we're commonly seeing a lot, it's making sure that it really goes beyond the expectations of that. And that's what we do with gait analysis. And that's what we kind of even bring in that clinical excellence that we get in our education courses as well. When somebody comes into a Omega Project, they're going to ask us about what shoes they should wear, how they should train for their marathon, what strength training they should do, how much sleep they should be getting, any nutrition advice. These are all things that if you have the ability to provide within your scope of practice, but if you have the ability to provide information or resources, or even just help quarterback them to say, yes, I have a great nutritionist that I can refer you to, or we work, and I've talked about this in other podcast episodes, but we work with pelvic health specialists. Having a pelvic health specialist that you have the confidence to say, I want you to go see this person for a few visits. We'll come back and work on your running form and your strength and mobility, but I want you to see them and see if that makes a difference in your hip pain. That is value beyond care. And even if you send somebody to somebody else in that situation, they're going to trust you more because you are the source. Not only are you getting the source of their symptoms, but you're the source of their solution. And that's what we really need to focus on. And I challenge everyone listening to this. What are you doing that goes above and beyond? Why are you worth talking about? I think about that a lot, that somebody that goes to a typical practice where they go in and they're warming up and they spend a lot of time with a rehab tech and they're only talking to a therapist for 5 or 10 minutes. Like, is anybody going to talk about that? Are they going to say like, oh, I had this great PT session and they showed me my 3D gait and we figured out why all the things are happening on my right side. And we did this cue and immediately I was able to feel a difference in my running. And I didn't even want to go back to the way that I was running before. I was just blown away at how different it was. And if you're not providing that level of care, you're playing a zero-sum kind of game. Eventually, somebody else is going to come along. They're going to put more marketing effort in. They're going to put a little bit more. They're going to know a new physician that's going to send them some referrals. And now you're going to be wondering why you're starting to see a slowing down of your business. You have to look at it. And I read a book recently that reread it, but it was 10x is easier than 2x. And I think that really applies to this whole concept of value beyond care, that if you're just looking to be a little bit better than everybody else, it means you're going to have to put a lot more effort in. That you're trading time for dollars at that point. But if you're looking to provide a 10x experience for your customers, you have to do things differently. You have to adopt technology. You have to make sure that you are using systems, that the care is excellent. Because if you don't, somebody else is just going to open a practice a mile down the road, and that's going to be close to somebody's house, and they're going to go there and not have any loyalty to you. And I don't want this to seem like a downer or pessimistic thing. I want this to be an uplifting thing, that anyone can apply these principles of clinical excellence, of value beyond care, if you're willing to put the time and effort in. And it will 10x your results versus just looking for marginal gains here and here that lead to 2x. You want to go 10x. And those are the type of people that are really able to future-proof their practice and their business. because they are doing the things that are well above and beyond everyone else. And I'd encourage and challenge you all to do the same thing. There are inflection points, the beginning of the year, birthdays, anniversaries, whatever your inflection point is when you're listening to this. I hope that it's something that encourages you to say, how am I providing that 10x experience, and how am I expecting to get that freedom, time, money, and purpose by providing that, and what the results will be. So this matters, if on the running side, we really have identified our customers. This is, we're working at Omega Project, and we're helping our customers do this for their customers as well at RunDNA, where we're saying this is from, fall risk to first place, walking, running. This all really matters. And we have identified and we've grown in who our customer is. We were very much focused on the runner at Omega Project when we just started. And then we expanded that as we added walking gait, and we realized how important walking gait is for all people. We started seeing it with our runners, especially, that they needed a walking gait analysis. But then we started seeing that there were other people in the community that we could help too. And we knew our ideal customer, we say it's the person that can't stop, won't stop. There's somebody that no matter what they're doing, whether they're going for a walk with their friends in the morning, they like to hike, they like to run, they're doing an ultra, they just want to be able to, get in and out of the grocery store. It's something that they will not give up. They can't stop, they won't stop. That's the person that we're looking for in Omega Project. And when we quantify gait for that group, we are unlocking a whole new level of results. And that's something that they'll talk about. And that's when the practice really grows and develops that way. I think this is really, another part of a bigger solution for modern medicine as well. I think, embracing technology, and specifically gait. I'll go into gait a little bit here because a lot of people listening to this are interested in offering gait analysis as a service. And I think that is something that is highly needed. And our goals at RunDNA are to make gait analysis mainstream. We want everyone getting a gait analysis. We are striving to make gait analysis easier for providers. We want to make it more valuable for the clients that are getting the gait analysis. And we want to make it more productive for the businesses that are offering it. And I think something that is part of that, if you've been considering doing gait analysis or you want to do more, I think that's a big gap in the medical and fitness community right now, is that we might be measuring things more. I think speaking just for my own background in physical therapy, I think we're doing a lot better job of getting objective data so that we're at least showing, are we making improvements? But tying that back to function is a whole nother level. And I would challenge you on the first part is, how are you quantifying and getting data around gait? How are you just not looking at somebody, but are you at least slowing things down and getting 60 plus frames per second, or ideally most phones can do 240 frames per second, but how are you slowing gait down, able to really identify what is going on with gait and how to improve it? And then, if you are doing the range of motion and dynamometry, how are you tying it back? Are you looking at that, and are you doing test for test each time you're working with somebody? And are you tying that back to if somebody is actually making functional improvements with it? Because we know that you can. I was talking with a friend. It was an Instagram post we made about stretching hip flexors before running. Found a new article about it, and Jay DeSherry and I kind of started having some conversations. He's been on the podcast in the past, but he commented on it, and we're, going back and forth about what does it mean and how do we get there and what are we looking to do and our effectiveness of that stretch. And he was saying that they did a study, and they looked at it and they stretched a bunch of people, their hip flexors, and then they looked at their gait before and after. And guess what? The hip extension didn't change at all on the gait analysis. So how are we tying back the things that we're doing in therapy to the things that really matter? And that's where I think gait analysis is a huge part of that. And I hope that you will join me, and I hope that the courses that we offer, the things that we're doing for this, where we've got depending on when you listen to this here, there's a free walking course. There's a free running course. We're seeing some of those things. The walking course should be out soon if you're listening to this around the time for release there. But get involved with that. Check those out. Recommend them to other people if you don't mind. Help spread the word. But we are really trying to get people to be engaged in doing gait analysis, because it is going to come back, and it's something that is going to help your clients. It's going to help you develop and grow, and it's going to help your business. And RunDNA is here to help you with that. So whether you're looking to use these concepts with something like technology for gait analysis, or you're looking to do some other technology, I hope you'll get started. I hope you'll look to see how you can future-proof your practice. And I would love in the comment section to hear about what you're doing. What's your formula for creating success with it? What are you doing with it as well? And how are you taking it to the next level? And then just one other point here too, like taking it to the next level is going to help you so much more just understanding things as well. I've got up here on a slide, there's on the left side of it says, the typical method is to do a timed up and go with somebody. And what is the difference of that versus doing a 3D gait analysis, and what are the benefits? And, we look at something like a timed up and go. It's a great clinical tool that's going to show, is somebody at risk? It's kind of telling you like what's going on. Somebody's at risk. They didn't meet a certain threshold. They were 15 seconds. Okay, you're at increased risk for fall. But what is it really telling you about what to do next versus a 3D analysis that is going to be able to also tell you not just if somebody's at risk, but it's going to tell you why, and it's going to tell you how to fix it. So instead of looking at somebody that's saying they did that 15-second tug, it's going to be able to say, yes, it's 15-second tug, but your period of double limb support on one side is higher. It looks like you're favoring that side. Then you can get more information and say, yes, well, I try to get off of that one knee because it's painful. Great. That's going to help give you more information. You say, where is it painful? Then you start to evaluate more and say, great, here's what we need to do. And then you incorporate it back and you work on even steps, and you have a whole exercise program, and you know what's going on, why they're at risk for falls, and how to fix it. So we need that level of information to really take things to the next level and go with that value beyond care. Now, the last part that we didn't talk about in the equation is the business processes. And I think that this is something that is extremely important as well. And I know a lot of people want to just think if I provide really good care, that people will show up. And I think that is a really important part of the equation, but it's not the whole equation. And you do need to have really good business practices involved. And I'll put that into oversimplifying this a ton, right? But I think if you don't have these three things, you can't necessarily start working on the other aspects of it until you have this. One of the first things is just simple pricing, understanding exactly what you're offering and the cost and the value beyond that, the value for that. And I like a messaging that comes from Donald Miller in StoryBrand, and he says, if you confuse, you lose. So make sure your pricing is very consistent and clear and matches the value. I think in physical therapy, we undervalue the value of what we're providing. What's a price on somebody not falling and breaking a hip? We can put a price on it and say how much an MRI is going to cost them and how much a 3-day stay in the hospital if they do fall and break their hip and how much therapy they'll need after it. So value a gait analysis accordingly. Make sure that people understand the benefit of it. And yes, we have different ones and we have different pricing. We do gait analysis to try to get more people access to it. And I think that that's important as well. We want to make sure people have access, but make sure it's still reflective of the value that people do. And then clear messaging. When we have people bring on the Helix 3D for technology, one of the things that we teach them is they'll often start putting together some marketing material, and we've got some materials for them. But one thing we teach them is think about from the client's perspective with this. a lot of times people they'll do messaging like, we have the latest in technology, and this was developed with the US military, and this was, great results, and all those kind of things. Instead of focusing on saying, all right, you are consistently injured. You can't get to the start of a marathon because you're injured every time. We've got your solution. Think about the transformation that somebody will go through. Go from frustrated and injured to fast and injury-free. That's the type of messaging that is clear about what you are offering. We offer at Omega Project a discovery session. And we could say, hey, free discovery session, and here's what you'll get. We'll evaluate this, we'll evaluate that. We can do a TPI screen, we can do a gait analysis, we can do a runner readiness assessment. And none of that means anything to the client, right? They want to know, hey, take control of pain, understand the source, learn the next step. That is how we promote our free discovery session, because that is what is meaningful. And we did this. We had a flyer out at one of our locations is at a country club, and we had a flyer for this discovery session. And we changed some of the wording up to match what we were talking about, where before it was like identify range of motion and strength and mobility. And then we put up the new flyer that was like take control of pain. And we had like 2 discovery sessions a week before. And I just looked not long ago, and there was 5 discovery sessions scheduled for this week. So that clear messaging and putting the client at the center of the messaging makes a huge impact. And then finally, consistent delivery. This is something I think that is really hard sometimes in a service-based industry, because there's so much time spent in the business versus on the business. But if you are really focusing on the business and developing processes, it makes all the difference in the world. I'll give you an example. At Omega Project, we're focusing on the process of what is the process that consistently gets new or returning evals to come in. What are the things that we need to do? And the process is a little different for each clinician, but we're focusing on things like, okay, we need to reach out to 5 past patients a week. We need each person to put out 3 pieces of content a month that has their face on it. We need to make sure that we're providing excellent care and that we're using test retest at least 3 or 4 times in any given session. And that simple process keeps schedules filled. It keeps things moving, and we are refining that, and we're seeing what works for one clinician versus another. But without an understanding of how we can consistently perform the business processes that get us the results that we want, we're not going to get the results. So I just would encourage you as well, don't forget about working on your business versus working in your business as well. It's very easy to get stuck working in your business versus on your business there. So that's the 3 elements of it. This is something we could really go in. I kind of already did a little wrap up earlier in it, but do please leave me comments, thoughts about what are you doing to future-proof your practice? What are the things that really help you most? And thank you for listening, and hope you find this valuable. And I hope that you'll consider gait analysis as a key part of a business, because we're seeing amazing ROI for our clients, and we want to make that available to people everywhere so that they're getting gait analysis and that businesses are seeing the productivity behind that. So thanks for listening, and look forward to seeing you on the next podcast.
Like what you hear? Leave a review of the show wherever you listen, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. RunDNA helps runners and running specialists through education and technology to identify each runner's unique injury profile to avoid setbacks and maximize results. The RunDNA Podcast is produced by Ace Running LLC. The RunDNA Podcast is intended for educational purposes only. No clinical decision-making should be based solely on one source. While care is taken to ensure accuracy, factual errors can occur. Always seek the guidance of qualified medical professionals before making healthcare decisions. Find us online at rundna.com.